Good afternoon again, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Thank you for joining us today. As we begin our meeting, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the Area Office on Aging as this month's sponsor and Rotarian Justin Moore. Justin, are you here today? I don't know if I saw him earlier. No. All right. Well, Justin, thank you. Carol Subcheck, would you please join us at the podium to deliver a reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
First of all, fellow Rotarians, if you're sick of seeing the same old people up here, there is an answer. Join the invocation committee, or if you'd like to just maybe do the invocation every once in a while, the committee doesn't really do anything but invocations. So let me know, get on DACDB. You can find me there. If you don't know what DACDB is, you can ask me or Jackie. And if you'd ever like to be up here on the podium addressing your fellow Rotarians with a moment of reflection, please let us know. We'd love to have you. So today, this weekend, I heard something very simple and very profound, on TV, no less. It was, each day is a gift. And I started thinking, how do people use their gifts? Sometimes we get a gift and we put it in the closet and forget about it, and there it sits collecting dust. And sometimes we throw it away. What will you do with your gift of today? Will you use it to perform some service above self? Will you be a Rotarian, a person of action today? What will you do with your gift of today? Please join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I take your notes? No.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Carol. Does anyone have any guests that they would like to introduce today? Please bring them to the floor mic Zach has in the middle of the room, and introduce your guests for us. Thank you.
All right. Pleased to introduce you to Doris Wanchuku-Baker of Sales Acceleration joining us today.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce you to one of my colleagues joining us today. This is Carol O'Neill, our Donor Relations Coordinator at Lourdes University.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Hey Rotary, I am thrilled to introduce Abby Glanville, the Executive Director of the Valentine Theater and my boss, so only good things to say to her, please.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I have a crew with me today. I have my husband, Bobby Gore, who's an advisor with Mays & Associates. I have Eric Jackson, who is the Continuing Improvement Manager for the Great Lakes, is here today, and Marie Dunn, who oversees our media for Mays & Associates as well. So please greet them.
Thank you. Excellent. Welcome. Haifa, I was going to introduce you, but I know, do you have a guest too? Is that why?
I do.
Okay, I'd like to
hit two.
That's right. Let me
right?
introduce first. This is Haifa Halou, president of Reynolds Corners, that's joining us today. Thank you, Haifa, for joining us. We appreciate it. And you've brought a guest.
Yes, thank you for having me. So I brought Allison Luce with Hannah Howard. Howard Hannah, I'm sorry. It's Monday, I'm just coming off vacation. So thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Hello, fellow Rotarian. Thank you for having me. And with me today, I'm just going to have them stand. 3 of my team members here. I have Lisa Halsey and Honora Harbeck. Okay, they're both in my team. And I also have Dr. Angie Fitzpatrick. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'd also like to take a moment to thank all the greeters who have been greeting folks in the hallway today and prior Mondays. If you're a greeter today, please stand up. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. There we go. And Max. Thank you, Jane Marie. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. If you want to sign up to be a greeter, please do so. There's information about that in the spoke, or you can ask Jackie or myself. Zara Collins, would you please come to the podium? Zara is this year's chair of our membership committee and she would like to give us an update.
Greetings, fellow Rotarians. How's everyone doing? I'm at the podium again. Yay. Okay, so no, I'm really excited about membership. You know, over the past 2 years with our past presidents, we have been working on growing the club. But that's not our focus right now. Yes, we want more Rotarians and we want more people to come to Toledo Club, but we want to keep you guys engaged. So membership is working on some really cool things this year, and I just want to kind of get you all started on. So next slide. All right, so on the website, we came up with this great member engagement. We want you guys to check in. Check in when you come to the meeting. Check in when you go to your committee meetings. Check in when you hit a happy hour, when you do a coffee connect. There is a place on the website for you to check in. You can use the QR code that's up there. It's going to be available, and there'll be QR codes like around at our meetings as well. But we want you to check in. We want you to say what you're doing, and we're going to start a leaderboard, and we're going to have points that you earn for participating in events. And then eventually, when we get to the point where we have people that actually did what we asked them to do, there's going to be a leaderboard that's on our website that lives there on the Rotary website, and you'll be able to see who is in the lead for attending meetings, or in the lead for attending their committee meetings, or getting the happy hours, or doing our outings. And so we just are trying to keep you all engaged and keep you all active, but you know, we also like to give prizes, so we're working on those. And so we'll be giving away prizes, and there'll be an award at the end of the year at the membership awards. So next slide. Check in to earn points. So there's a drop-down menu, and you can select what it is that you're doing. So today, if everyone would get off their phone right now and hit that QR code, you can check in, and there is a CAPTCHA, so telling us that you're not a robot so that we don't get spammed on our website. You're gonna select the Monday luncheon, and then you can hit submit. There's also an opportunity for you to upload a picture, so a selfie, you know, you might get extra points for a selfie. We'll figure that out in the membership meeting. But take pictures, be active, be engaged. Let everybody know that you're a member of Rotary, and that you're proud to be a member of Rotary, and that you're proud to be here, and that you're having fun while you're being here. That's how we get members, and that's how we keep active, engaged, and also get to know each other, because when I see your picture, I'm gonna be like, hey, I saw your picture. The other thing is staying engaged with our calendar. So the calendar, please make sure that you are either subscribed to our calendar, sync it to your Google Calendar. It has everything. We've even updated it with the Monday meetings. So Monday meetings are now on the calendar, along with who the speaker is. And it's also letting you know if we're not having a meeting. So make sure that you get the calendar. It's always on the last page of the spoke. But hey, for all of us that are really busy and are, you know, we get those notifications all the time, make sure that you're subscribed to the Rotary calendar. And then, yeah, that's it. Sync, engage, take pictures, get points, earn prizes.
Thank you, Zara. Appreciate it. Both your and Mo's leadership this year with the membership committee. Thank you. All right, let's get to today's program. Julia and our panelists, if you would like to come up to the stage now. Today we're joined by 3 fellow Rotarians for a published authors panel. Kelly Trame, Dr. Shanda Gore, and Emily Zarecki. Julia, who's our chair of our program committee this year, is going to moderate the panel today, and I'm done. I'll turn it over to you. It's all your, oh, you want this one too? All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So as Miss Carol set us up beautifully about thinking about the wonderful gift that is today, thinking about all of our individual gifts and how we can contribute that to service above self and impacting the world around us, we have 3 wonderful women who happen to also be Rotarians and authors and wives and mothers and all the wonderful things, and we get to celebrate them in all their greatness because they wrote books. that contribute to the incredible world in which we have today. And they are each in different sectors of literature. And so I'm going to turn it over to them for a quick little 1-2 line. What is your book about? First of all, introduce yourself. And then give me that elevator pitch on what your book is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Zarecki, and my book is a memoir. It's called Golden Scars: How the Death of My Husband Prepared Me to Battle Breast Cancer. So that kind of tells you a lot about the story there. But I talk about my journey through breast cancer, from diagnosis through treatment and life post-cancer, and then kind of talk through in some flashbacks about some other kind of big challenges that I experienced throughout my life and how those really became sources of strength for me as I then went through cancer treatment.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelly Frame, and my books are a series of books all about the adventures of Evelyn. Evelyn is a cat that adopted us in 2020 when we moved to the country during the pandemic. That was a great time. Another story there. And it's just a story about how she came to find us, and then about the adventures that she goes on, all about living life with compassion and kindness and helpfulness, the things that kids deal with and issues they deal with, but in a cat form.
Hi, Rotarians. I'm Shanda Gore, and I wrote a book, The Pen Leader Path, and it talks about effective leadership, both in the human and the AI side, and how it impacts your organizational culture, which, again, as a book, started 20 years ago as a concept and has really grown, and recently I updated and got it published, so I'm very proud of that.
Well, I'm thinking about, we're going to stay with Dr. Gore, so 20 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me where that spark was, and how did that sustain for 20 years, from idea to pen to publish? How did that stay with you, and how did it evolve over those 20 years?
Well, admittedly, I was challenged in a doctoral cohort to talk about effective leadership. And what I found, which everyone in here has either been a leader or been exposed to leaders, both good and bad. And what I was looking for was the most effective leaders, those that would be able to move goals forward in a way that would move an organization forward. And I tested the waters out with my cohort at the time. They loved it. I got challenged by one of my fellow doctorates then. They're saying, you need to put a pen in it, which I have my pen on right now, and get that thing published before somebody takes it. And it's a great concept. So I took that and I worked that over time, through different roles and responsibilities. And then I found that, again, those characteristics were the same across those effective leaders: being sharp, being effective in their education and their experience. Strength of character does mean something. People want to follow people they trust, and it goes a long way, and they work harder for those. And then being able to have a plan and being able to pivot when a challenge happens or circumstance. So that's how the pen comes, because those are all the three attributes of a solid pen, and especially if you're holding fabric together for an organization. So.
And as you just spoke about the responsibility
Yes.
that comes with, I now have this wonderful information and I feel like I should do something with it, that actually relates very much to what Emily was her spark, as you and I talked about, is that there was this responsibility. Talk to us about that.
Right, so I had several people. I had a dear friend who, as I was kind of coming to the end of my cancer treatment, said, "You need to write a book." And I was like, I don't think so. Now, I'm a public relations professional, so I write as part of my job, but I write, short, succinct, brief, it's press releases and blogs and articles, and it's not a, 40, 60,000 word book. But over, the course of about a year, the idea just kept coming back to me. And as I really thought about it more, I felt like my story, from the, being a cancer patient and now cancer survivor, to being widowed, and I felt there was a bit of a responsibility to share my story, because I'm not the first woman that was in her mid-30s who lost her husband unexpectedly. I wasn't the first person who, ever went through breast cancer treatment, but I realized prior to or kind of during some of those big challenges in my life, I was searching for other people's stories. With my cancer treatment, I, was talking to the doctors and the nurses, but to really get a sense of, what was chemo gonna be like? I could hear it from a kind of medical perspective, but I realized that I was searching for stories. And thought, because of my experience, I did feel a responsibility to share my story.
Yeah, and I think with you being vulnerable to tell that story, it created this sort of journey in the book of it's not just telling your story, but it's giving things for folks to connect to. And ironically, Kelly, as you wrote your book, she didn't write it out with the intention of inspiration and now we're going to tell this journey. It was a journey of a cat. And now all of a sudden, thinking about Emily was very grounded in these tether points of the deep, grief and loss and the journey of, how to come out of this. And Kelly, your book is giving these kiddos sort of those life lessons up front, right?
It is, and I didn't even realize what I was writing until I wrote it. I just had this story that was in me that I had to tell. We kept wondering, where did this cat come from? Why did she choose us? Then my husband and I started making up stories about she must have grown up in a cat colony and maybe she got kicked out. Maybe she decided to go off on an adventure. And so that's what led to that story. And it wasn't until after I wrote it and I started doing book readings with kids that I started getting feedback from their caregivers, from their teachers, and about how it was helping kids overcome fears about going to a new place, being scared about making friends and leaving your friends behind and being brave to go off on another adventure, and how it is to overcome some of those big feelings and what do you do with those big feelings. It didn't even occur to me what I was writing, that I was writing about belonging and having that strength until it was written.
Yeah, and the belonging is something that I feel like you each have gone through as you're writing this book, understanding who you are in your life and the impact you could make. And so ironically, that Kelly, that became a theme. And I feel like both Emily, you had the whole ideation of how do I create that support system, and Dr. Gore, you also, the creativity around the support system within leadership. Talk to me about being a leader and how do you have folks feel like they belong, and the PIN method. Talk us through the pieces of the PIN. How does that tie everything together?
Well, it's interesting. I just finished, I had it on the book, it says 22,000, but now I'm at 23,000 individuals who've been through my workshops. And there is a commonality across all of those, and this is why the importance of I wanted to make sure this book got out. No one gets up at least I don't know them, gets up and says, I want to start off and have the worst day possible at work. They could be out there. Most people want to go into a place, I would say all of us, I hope, want to go into a place where they're spending a lot of time. They want to feel like it's a place where they can get the work that they were and their career and what they can fulfill their passion and purpose. So if you have individuals that are toxic or individuals who are stopping you or impeding you from that, it creates a situation where retention is a challenge when you don't have a good workplace. And poor leadership leads to that. And so we lean into our leaders to help control some of that environment, that organizational culture. So I would say it's a holistic way of looking at an individual comes into your workplace, that care, the understanding that communications is critically important, those 3 C's, and that's civility. And so I had a number of associates say, can I have, you presented to us, you've done a workshop with us, you've done a retreat, can I have something to read or take away? And this is why the book was so really important. And we have case studies in the book, and it was just important to get that out there.
I think there's something so beautiful in the fact that each of you ladies have grown through this process, because you all have your professional they already got a full-time profession. Don't forget about that. This is a hobby that became an addition. It's a sidecar to their full-time. So let's give kudos to that as well, because my goodness. You all have grown through this process of writing and becoming the persona of an author. And so can you give us just one little moment of growth that you felt within yourself, maybe the impact that you've already seen, and how that ties back to where you want to go in your future?
I think for me, I really grew as a writer. This was such a different type of story that I was telling. And just the process of writing it, and I worked with a book coach. And I remember her telling me I had, written maybe the first chapter, shared it with her, and she said, I need you to help set the scene. I was like, do what? She goes, I need you to help people as they're reading. They need to really kind of see where you are. What are you seeing? What were you feeling? To be able to really tell that story with impact, so that it isn't just a kind of regurgitation of this happened and then this happened. You want to bring people into that world, into what it was like for me. And so I really grew as a writer, I think, in telling that story, and then in hearing the feedback of people reading it and telling me I felt like I was there with you. It's really impactful.
That's incredible. And Kelly, what aspects of growth have you felt, and what has the impact already been that you've felt?
For me, it's been self-confidence. When I was in college, I had a professor tell me that my writing was so bad I was equivalent to an illiterate. Yeah, that does a number to your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. Now, given my whole professional career, I have to write, and I raise money while writing, so I must know how to write, but I still never felt confident that I really knew what I was doing. And being able to write these children's books gave me that confidence of, I can write them. And then people actually bought the books. So that's pretty cool. And then I could go to readings and the kids would be there. And it's the kids that urged me to write more. When I read my first book, the kids sat around and they said, well, tell us another story. So then I made up the next story that became my second book. And then I was reading both books, and then the kids are, well, tell us another story. So then I started making up another story, which will be the third one, if I can ever sell enough, not ever, when I sell enough of the other book.
When we all go and buy her books after this, so that she can write a third book, yes?
It's
okay,
a
good.
very expensive hobby, but self-confidence is what I really got.
That's wonderful. And Dr. Gore?
I can say that this, and because I want to acknowledge writing in the past, this really isn't my first book. I was looking back, and I was talking to my husband. I wrote my master's thesis. That's a book. My doctoral, I actually found my dissertation. It's a book. It's actually longer than my book that's published out. So what I got out of it is the confidence to know that I could switch writing styles. I've written for magazines and blogs, and this is where I would like to encourage, because every one of you have a story. The question is, how does your story get delivered? Is it in writing? Is it in a podcast? I have a podcast as well, and stories come out there. But this is the way, that's where the confidence in saying, I can write a book. I can put in, someone had said, 45, I had talked to a coach too, and they said, well, if you could get to 45,000 words, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get there. That's a lot. My book's at 54,000 words, because I realized by chapter, I said, no, I gotta go deeper and get that push. So I think it's really important, and to recognize you all have stories, and my confidence that I have a story, and what I have to contribute has value.
Yeah, and the length and the depth was a theme as we all spoke prior to this. Am I putting too much in? Am I not putting too much in? Is the story too much? Is it not enough? Am I being too vulnerable? Is it not vulnerable? It really is a delicate balance. And so, staying with Dr. Gore, can you tell me one thing you were worried about at the beginning that now you're looking back on, dang, that wasn't even a worry?
I think that when I wrote it, I said, I want to be true to the book. I want to be true to the purpose of why I'm doing this, to help others and for those that are working with my team and to have a good solid lead behind it to help other people who might be struggling and are quietly suffering in their workplace, and being able to identify profiles of what leadership looks like. And so, I think about that with the question you're asking. I struggle with it. I struggle with it because, the next stage is to where do you go from here? And I don't know. I don't know if I'm not going to have another 20 years in me to write another book. That's for sure. But I think that just by the sheer nature of somebody asking me a question, I will develop more and go more into probably certain areas and industry areas. But I do encourage anyone in here to explore writing a book.
And they've all utilized coaches. We might talk about that if we have some time.
Yes.
Coaches have been very helpful, is what I've learned. Kelly, in addition to the newfound confidence of being a writer, was there anything that you worried about prior to writing the book that now you look back and it wasn't a concern?
Sure, as I think about it, one thing that stands out for me is how to tell a story to children. Because when I first started writing my story, I started writing with all this scenery and imagery of the cat colony. There was a gentle stream going through the cat colony, and the book coach quickly pointed out that that's not something 4-year-olds are going to appreciate. So I had to learn that I had to communicate to my illustrator what I wanted in the illustrations and how to use the illustrations to really tell that story. And the book coach helped me a lot with being able to tell that story through the pictures and through those illustrations.
It's amazing you go in to write a book and you don't necessarily recognize what areas are going to be the main focus. You're like, oh, it's the words and on the page. Oh, it's the entire picture literally for you with the illustrations to make sure that the audience is getting it and absorbing it the way that you want them to. And Miss Emily, your story takes on such a deeper intensity of your memoir. Talk to me about what were you worried about going into it?
I was just really worried about oversharing, or there was definitely, as I was finishing writing, felt incredible vulnerability about what I was sharing, and it really wasn't on the cancer side. It was really the other kind of deeper stories that I was telling about my husband. And my first husband, Steve, had suffered from pretty severe mental illness and took his life. So I was, really writing about the pain of that, the experience, and I thought, is this too much? Because I really even kind of write the day that I came home and found him, and there was such, therapy in writing it and revisiting it, but I thought, is this too much? And as I talked with my coach about it, she said, we have a mental health crisis out there. There's still a stigma of people, wanting to, get help. And she said, perhaps your story can help break through that. So even as we were getting ready to kind of hit that send button and it was going to be official, I still had that vulnerability, but, in knowing that if there was somebody I could reach with even his part of the story, it would be worth it.
And now on the backside, did you feel like you did, that you reached that correct audience to create support through your story?
I do, and I think I'm still getting there and kind of reaching, people with that story. But I, love to, beyond the, breast cancer and kind of cancer side of the story, really be able to go deeper on that mental health side of the story, because it's just so important, and so many people, I think, are hurting, and to see, the impact in the story that someone else had gone through.
multiple things all woven in together, very similar timeline. Yes, it's interesting how we go day by day and we are full professionals, and then we recognize, oh, we're also trying to survive. We're trying to do hobbies and keep our mental health up and have relationships and do all of this. And so I think there's something to be said for each of your books, because whether it be a leadership tactic that we take from Dr. Gore's book, or the ability to be brave and courageous on our new adventures as we figure them out, or that, we can persevere and be resilient through some of the darkest days. There's something in each of that we all, whether we recognize or not in our day-to-day, we all go through that. And so as we can be support for ourselves and for others, we can learn from each of these books. So as we are thinking about you going from idea to publish, idea to pen to publish, what were the support systems wrapped around you? Because it takes months and money, years, decades for Dr. Gore. So,
Some of us.
yeah, Dr. Gore, talk to me about some support that you had around you to ensure that you could get from idea to fruition.
Well, I think back when I got the idea of the metaphor with the pen, it was like at 2:30 in the morning, and I got inspired. I'm kind of a night bird every once in a while, at least I used to be. And I was inspired there. And the first person that I ran the idea and actually the presentation through was my husband. I made sure, I was like, well, what do you think of this? And, what do you think? And he's great as a support in like critiquing, like, yeah, I don't quite understand what you're saying here. Can you go back? And I think that it starts, with me. I'm blessed enough to have that as an anchor in my house to be able to run an idea, because it can be very lonely. Writing can be very lonely, especially when you're looking in depth of like, did I get to this point? Did I do this justice? In my case, was the case study strong enough to make the point so that they know, and what are the questions you should ask as leaders? So it really is my first and my family unit. My cohort got to hear it second, and then I started working it through. I had my day job. I think you made great. I worked full time. At one point, I had 3 different titles, and was supposed to have one job, but 3 different titles, working 3 different things and grants, and looking back, and I was still kind of plodding away on this. And then it get to the 18-year mark. And I said, you know what, we're going to put a pin in this, literally put a pin in this. And I saw AI making some major impacts on people who were, I'm going to say the word fearful. They were fearful about what's going on. And they were leaders that were fearful on what might impact and how it might impact their organization. And so I said, well, how can I help them? So I said, I'm going to go out here, I'm going to get this done, make sure AI is incorporated in this book, and the support, again, of allowing me the time to go write for hours. My family saying, you know what, I may be gone for the next 6 hours. I'm going to go hide out. I'm going to be at the coffee shop. I wrote a lot of the book at Barnes & Noble. Yes, I did. At that one table, it's faced a certain direction. I wrote it in different places. So that was my support, is being able to have the time to carve out, and my family allowed me to do that.
Yeah, Bobby, holler to Bobby, because to be a mom and an employee and all the wonderful things, and you say, honey, you go to Barnes & Noble. I got the kiddos. I'm going to do that. Yeah, holler to Bobby for that, and he's super nice, by the way. So meet Bobby. All right, Miss Kelly, tell me about your support system.
My support system really varied. My husband, of course, is amazing and a great supporter and champion for anything I'm trying to do. So he kept encouraging me and to keep going and to keep trying. There's another children's book author who I worked with when I was at a previous employer, and she is a great author herself. We started writing at the same time, so she and I were able to compare notes and to cheer each other on, and that made it a lot of fun. She's the one who got me onto the book coach, and then the book coach, it's a husband and wife duo team. And they were really able to help me put my idea together and help me figure out how do I create my ideas and my vision of what I want into a story that made sense. So it was really all of that combined.
Thank you. And Miss Emily, I want to not only take the question of the support through writing the book, but also talk to me about the support coming out of the loss of Steve and coming into this new era of who you're going to be?
Yeah, for writing the book, definitely my family was so very supportive, and I was also just maybe a year and a half into having my own company. So I was trying to, work, build my company, and figure out how to write a story, and in a way that it wouldn't be that book I always wanted to write. So once I decided, okay, I'm gonna do this, I was actually at the suggestion of my book coach, was saying you need a writing ritual. She said she recommended starting, beginning of the day. She said, if you want to write for an hour and a half, but start there, maybe, just to get your mind into it. Maybe you light a candle, just something that you're like, okay, this is writing. The rest of my business can wait just a little bit, but just to kind of get started. But then just having that support from, family, friends, through it all is really impactful.
And getting to the point that you felt like you could talk about this, talk about the support and the movement before even launching your business, before even getting to the idea of a book. I know that there was a lot of support around you to help you get through those days of darkness. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. In addition to, of course, my family, close friends, my parents were right there, literally, with me. Right after my husband Steve died, and my children were very young. My son was 8, and I have twin daughters. My one daughter is here today. They were 4, so it was, needed that support around me. And as I was kind of early in, just figuring out, like, what next? I've got these young kids depending on me, and, here I'm mid-30s, I'm a widow. I don't know anyone else. Anyone who I did know that was widowed was, in their 70s or a little older. So couldn't really relate to what I was dealing with. And at the time, I was working for a marketing agency, and I was doing some research for a hospice client. And so I was doing some research, and I came across something that was called Camp Widow. And I went, Camp Widow? I'm gonna need to look at this. So I was like, hold on, client. I need to look at this for myself. And I opened the website, and immediately, just seeing some pictures, it was like, I found my people. It looked like it was a kind of conference type setting, but it was, a lot of women in the picture, but it was men, women, but a lot of younger women, and I thought, I've got to go to this. It's so unlike me to decide, first I'm going to go to something on my own. I can be very shy when I don't know people, but I thought, I'm going to go. It's across the country. I need to go to San Diego, which wasn't a hard sell, at least for me. But I was like, hey, Mom, Dad, can you watch the kids? I need to go to San Diego to Camp Widow. And they're like, to what? To Camp Widow. But it was, when you're, really in something and you find people who have also been in it. So in that instance, it was through other widowed people. The connections, and when people get it, and you don't have to go into a big explanation of, here's what's going on, and this is what it is. I mean, it can just be, hi, how are you? And you're going deep into something. And to have that kind of support, whatever you're going through, to have that just commonality is so, so important.
And now you've written a book to be a resource for others. It's the resource you needed at the time, and now you've written it for others, which is incredible. So you all have done such an incredible job capturing your story and telling us about your book and how you've, from beginning to where you are now. If people in the audience, maybe someone else on stage, is looking to write a book, an aspiring writer, where would you tell them to start? How would you, the narrowing and the focus and all of that, what would be the igniter for aspiring writers? Where do they start? Dr. Gore, I'm going to pass it to you.
You need to do your research, and you have to discover for yourself, why are you writing the book? Who is the audience for the book? And then go from there, because we talked about book coaches. Ironically, Emily and I, we actually talked about the same book coach. Mm-hmm. And the book coach was a great fit for it. Emily was writing, but my writing was different. It wasn't a good fit for my writing. But I knew I needed someone who would be able to take a look at it and periodically, and discuss it with me, and have that having that real, I call it the red pen conversation. And so I do recommend Book Coach if you're stuck. I know some people like writing groups. If that's your thing, do it. But I'm big, my company, I'm big on intellectual property, and now that I own a publishing company, I'm very hesitant about just having your work floating out there. Don't send it out on PDF to everybody to read it, because it's your IP. And I think it's really important. It's your thoughts, it's your seed. It comes from you, and it's your story. And so big on nonfiction. If you're writing fiction, you can make up whatever you want. And also, too, is don't let your voice come through, not somebody else's voice. A lot of people have opinions, can look at it, and one person's red pen is different than another person's red pen. So you have to really find your people on who's reading it, and then make sure to, really look at your voice and get it out there.
And I don't know, she said something so slyly. I caught it, but that's because I got the notes. She bought a publishing company. Okay, you caught that? Okay, so yeah, so she said, I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I know exactly what I want to do. I know I want to have control over this process. And the other two gals did as well, but they self-published. So it's interesting to see the different processes of, I'm going to buy myself a publishing company versus I'm going to do it from, truly like rubber to the road. I'm going to self-publish, and they each got books at their house. Email them, they'll sell you one. So I think you just so slyly tossed that in there that I wanted to take a moment on that.
Well, publishing companies, there's this is why you want you to do your research. There's the larger publishing companies that are there's 4 or 5 major houses now. So if you're wanting to do that, you go for it. Go out there. It takes time. It's almost like you have to pitch. You got to write the pitch for that. And I didn't have time. I was writing about AI, and I'd already had 18 years of working on something. I said, I don't want to go another moment. So I passed on some of those opportunities, but then I didn't want to just self-publish. It wasn't the right vein for me, because I wanted to have a publicist involved. I had clients all over the country, and I wanted to reach them. I talked with my husband about it, and so I said, you know what? I'm going to go with the hybrid model. And the hybrid is that middle of the road, and saying, I have all of the information to go and publish for other people now. And I bought all of those, the fonts and the book. I mean, it's a lot of work, but down to the paper, the feel of the book, when you pick it up, the size of the font, I really wanted to know more about that. So that was the way to do it.
Thank you for giving that insight. And again, holler to Bobby, who was like, yes, sweetie, buy a publishing company. I support you. Let's do it. Let's call it Bobby's Publishing. No, what is the name of your publishing company, just for fun?
It's for On Point for leaders. It's called Pen Leader Press. So we focus on nonfiction. I get a lot of that too. I'm like, I don't write about vampires or mysteries or romance novels. I get a lot of that. But it is truly it's nonfiction, but it's for leaders on point, for those who are aspiring or who want to give back and contribute toward it. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Kelly, for aspiring writers, what would you tell them from beginning? What would you tell them?
In the field of children's book writing is to have fun with it. Also put your own personal take on the books. When I was writing my first book, because I live in Wood County, near the town of Tontogany, the cat colony happened to be called the Wood Springs Cat Colony near Tontogany Creek. So putting some of my personal background into it, the cat's name is Evelyn, which is my grandmother's name. Louise is the wise cat of the cat colony. That's my grandmother's middle name. So I put some fun into it. And then when it comes to, you have these ideas and then you're trying to piece it out a little bit more, either get index cards or a spreadsheet and just start creating columns of, this is what I want the message of the first page to be. And these are the images that I want it to convey, and write it out that way in long form. And it really helps to be able to see what is the book, how is it coming together, any text that you want to have in it really works well. That's what's worked well for me, but have fun with it, especially if it's in the children's book area.
And it's funny because I have this image in my head of you and your husband in your kitchen watching the cat playing outside with your note cards and making like a wall of just all these notes. Like that's what I'm imagining in my head.
So there is a part in the book, Evelyn loves grasshoppers. She loves to chase the grasshoppers. So there is a line in the Wood Springs Cat Colony, the cat colony rules is to play with the green galloping grasshoppers.
That alliteration.
Yes.
You love that alliteration.
I love it. So there's a few little fun things tied in there. There's another one in the second book when the Brussels sprouts are out behind our yard. Right now it's corn. She doesn't like the corn as much. But when the Brussels sprouts are not Brussels sprouts, soybeans.
It could be Brussels.
Oh.
We don't know. Those grow in the ground, right? I think. Are those trees?
Yeah, you can tell I moved from the city to the country. When the soybeans are growing, she loves to run and tunnel through the soybeans. And so in the second book, there's a part where she and her animal friends are running through the soybeans, not the Brussels sprouts.
But maybe Brussels
Sorry,
sprouts.
Andersons.
I would say maybe Brussels sprouts can be the third or fourth book. You never know. You never know. All right, Miss Emily, for aspiring writers, give us your ground up. What would you recommend?
I would say literally put pen to paper. Whether it's you start journaling, if you're going through something big, just start writing your feelings, what you're going through. And if you get to a point where you're deciding, I do want to write a book, you've got so many things that you can start to put together already. Because there would be times I was writing it and I'm like, I wish, especially if it was something from an experience from way back that I was trying to, bring into this book. I thought, I'm trying to remember some of the details, and I thought if I had written a little bit more. I did some blogging in my kind of early widowed days, but I thought I wish I would have done that a little bit more. But life is happening. You've got a lot going on, but. I think journaling is really so powerful, and to go back and read that, and then, because we can easily forget some things that happen in life, and so I'd say just journal and write.
Well, and I
every
think
day.
for your specific style of book, getting those thoughts and feelings out of you on paper to read them, grieve them again, and then put them into a published deliverable. I think that was probably a really critical thing for you. And I think you doing the blog definitely was a great step forward. I think if someone was going through what you were going through today, it would be a TikTok account. It maybe wouldn't be a blog. They'd be capturing everything in sort of a vocal representation of that on a video platform. But I do think, your ability to put pen to paper and process probably led to a stronger deliverable at the end of the day. So, my goodness. Well, we do have some time for questions if folks have any questions. Otherwise, we'll do a little wrap up here. Do we have some questions in the, maybe? All right, well, let's give these wonderful ladies an incredible round of applause. And this is our first time doing a panel like this, so when you get the survey today, if you like it, please let us know so the program committee can take that into account so we can do more wonderful things to feature incredible Rotarians. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Julia. And ladies, as you know, we do have a gift for you, an appreciation for your time today. You'll be surprised, but a book from another Rotarian author. Historical Tales of Toledo from our own past president, Clint Mock, as well as we will make a donation in your names to the Polio Plus Fund as well. So thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
One major thing I forgot. If you would like to purchase a book from these incredible women, so it was at Finch and Fern in Sylvania for you two, Amazon for Dr. Gore, but guess what? They are all right here, and you all have their emails. So if you would like a book from these wonderful ladies, please come and see them. Please reach out to them via email. They would love to sell you a book because I can tell you what, already it's transformational. I've already started to dip my toe into all their stories. So please go reach out to them, buy one of their books. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the technical stuff Kevin was better at. All right, thank you, ladies. Appreciate it again. All right, next week, please join us next Monday, August 11th, when Bob Borchert, the CEO of Integrate, joins us to talk about the hidden drain on your bottom line, unused human capacity. And then August 18th, we will be Rotary on the road. So we will be at the Huntington Center. So please remember to change your calendars for that lunch. August 25th, Pam Brumbaugh, who is the new District 6600 governor, will be here to present with us on that date. So please join us on those future meetings. Today there are 2 committee meetings. Community Services will meet in Summit A, Environmental Services in Summit B. Thank you for joining us. Please go out and unite some folks for good. Thank you.